Hello everybody, my name is Cookie, and I'm a competitive Splatoon player from Australia. This is the beginner's guide to Splatoon, for people who know absolutely nothing about the series and think it might be too hard to get into. If you're about to jump into Splatoon 3 for the first time, or have been watching clips or tournaments and have no clue what's going on, don't worry. By the end of this video, you'll have a great understanding of the fundamentals and controls, which will put you leagues ahead of other new players and let you jump right into the game and community. Let's start. Splatoon is a third-person shooter game where you use coloured ink to fight. You play as an Inkling, a creature that can shoot ink using a variety of weapons and can switch between a humanoid and a squid form. Before we jump into the deep end, let's learn the very basics. This is you. Use the left stick to move and the B button to jump. Holding B lets you jump a little higher. To look around, tilt the right stick. This is great for scoping out your surroundings, but not really good for fine-tuned aim. For more accuracy, simply tilt your controller in the direction you want to point. The gyroscope aiming system is very accurate and intuitive, and lets you make small adjustments to your aim without having to wrestle with a little nub like in other console shooters. It may seem difficult at first, but only a few minutes with the game will have you comfortably controlling your camera and aiming wherever you need. You can also reset your aim at any time by hitting the Y button, useful for when you find yourself aiming too high or low. You can also switch to pure stick controls, but I recommend using motion unless you get motion sickness easily. It's obviously a preference, but trust me, they will be better for you in the long run, so don't give up on them right away. To shoot ink, press ZR. Shooting ink damages enemies and covers the ground and walls with your colour. You can move, aim, and jump while shooting, allowing you to cover a lot of ground while staying mobile. You can't shoot forever though, as every shot consumes some of your ink tank, which you can see on the back of your Inkling. Once you're out, you gotta wait for it to recharge. To turn to squid form, simply hold ZL. You can switch between human and squid at any time by pressing or letting go of this trigger. As a squid, you can dive into your ink. This makes you harder to spot, recharges your ink tank faster, heals you, and allows you to swim very fast. Swimming is almost twice as fast as running, and will be your primary way of moving around. You can even swim up walls, and through grates. You cannot use weapons while in squid form, so you'll need to pop back out to shoot again. This is the core gameplay loop of Splatoon. Ink the ground in kid form, swim through the ink, rinse and repeat. Let's look at the different types of weapons offered in Splatoon. There will be at least 10 different weapon classes in Splatoon 3, each with their own distinct playstyles and strengths. Keep an eye out for which might be your favourite. And don't worry, you'll only unlock a few weapons at a time as you level up, so you won't be overwhelmed by choice. Shooters are the simplest. Hold the ZL button and you shoot. Shooters often lose accuracy when jumping, so it's best to keep to the ground unless you're in a pinch. Some shooters are light and fast, but have poor range, while others are heavy and slow, with longer range. Some are even semi-automatic. The right one for you depends on your preference. Dualies are like shooters, but you get one in each hand. With dualies, you can jump while shooting to dodge roll twice in a row, giving you more mobility options and buffing your shots until you move again. They're great at outperforming other close-range weapons, but must be handled with care lest you get stuck in place and splattered immediately. There are also light and heavy variants of dualies. You'll see this as a common trend. Blasters are also like shooters, but instead of rapid-fire shots, they fire balls of ink that explode after a set distance. These explosions deal splash damage to enemies, but direct hits will kill them instantly. They're perfect to hit enemies sneaking behind corners or ledges. Blasters have light and heavy variants too. Rollers allow you to flick ink by tapping ZR, or roll ink along the ground by holding it. Your flicks and rolls are slow, but paint very well and will insta-kill enemies if you're close enough. You also get a vertical flick that you can activate by jumping before firing. Most rollers play like frontline assassins that must sneak up on enemies for a quick kill. There are of course light and heavy rollers. Brushes are like rollers, but instead of slow flicks, you can spam the button to rapidly fling ink like a sword. You also run extremely fast while rolling, perfect for dashing over enemy ink. This is like your melee class that has poor range, but can get in and out of safety easily. There's also a heavy version of the ink brush, which is the light version. There's only 2 weapons in the brush class so far. Sloshes are paint buckets that fling tons of ink in an arc. These shots can hit enemies on top of ledges, below ledges, or even behind walls, making them a technical and tricky but powerful defensive class. There are of course light and heavy sloshes too, with some more focused on damage and some more focused on painting. Charges are like sniper rifles that you need to charge before firing. Hold ZR to charge a shot, then release to fire. Your shots have very long range, kill in one hit, and paint in a very straight line, perfect for efficient movement. You can even hold your charge in squid form for a brief moment if you need to relocate. Charges often play behind the rest of the team to support from afar. Some even come with scopes. But of course, there are light and heavy variants that play a little bit differently. Splatlings are Gatling-like weapons that also need to charge, but instead of one big shot, you get a continuous volley of shots for a short time. Unlike charges, you can release the button at any time during your charge and fire many shots, just for a shorter time, making it easier to defend yourself as a backline weapon. There are light and heavy splatlings too. Barellas are like shotguns that shoot pellets of ink. Holding ZR pops open a shield that deflects enemy attacks from the front. Holding it even longer releases the shield and sends it flying forward. This is the perfect defensive weapon that allows you to protect yourself and your team from the front lines of battle. There are light and heavy Barellas too. And finally, stringers, which are new to Splatoon 3. You can charge and release multiple bullets from your bow, and jumping shifts whether they come out horizontally or vertically. We haven't seen a lot of this weapon class yet, but we know it exists and that it will be pretty cool. There might even be one more weapon class we haven't seen in Splatoon 3. I'm making this video in early August before new information has come out, so we'll just have to wait and see. Weapons in Splatoon come in set kits. In addition to your main weapon, you also get a sub-weapon and a special weapon. Sub-weapons are thrown using the R button, and consume a lot more ink than your main shots. Many of them are just explosive bombs, but others provide utilities such as walls or sprinkler turrets. Use them situationally. And now for specials. See this meter? It must be charged up by painting the ground before you can use your special weapon. Once charged, just click the right stick and off you go. Special weapons are incredibly powerful and range from defensive shields to offensive weaponry. These can dramatically change the tide of a match, and you'll often see matches end with 2 or more specials being used at once to take the victory, which is why they've got to be charged first. Each main weapon has 2 or 3 pre-made kits that they can use, usually with the only difference to the main itself being an adjective in the name and a sticker or a color change. It's dumb, but it's easier to balance than letting players choose for themselves. Now that you know how to play, let's take a look at how to win. The most basic mode is called Turf War. 2 teams of 4 players battle on a large symmetrical stage, each with their own shared ink color. The team that covers the most turf after 3 minutes of battle wins. Easy as that. Stepping in enemy ink damages you and slows you down, but you can always cover it up with your own color. This also charges your special, just like unpainted ground. If you happen to get splattered, don't worry. You'll respawn right back in your base after around 10 seconds. Pressing the X button will open the map, which gives you an overhead view of where your teammates are and which parts of the map are turfed in each color. If you hover over a teammate and hit A, you will super jump to their location. This is a great way to jump right back into battle after dying, but there will be a marker on your landing spot that enemies can see and camp, so be careful who you jump to. Each of these icons at the top of the screen represents a player in the game. You can see which weapons everyone is using, who is currently respawning, and even who has their special weapon ready. Paying attention to the HUD is essential to know what's happening in the game. Kills don't contribute to your win condition at all, but they do help you achieve it, since being out of action for 10 seconds is a pretty big penalty, especially in the last 30 seconds of battle. So while going off on your own and painting enemy ink is a valid strategy and will help you win, getting kills on the enemy will help your entire team push forward. Turf War is a very casual game mode, and is the only thing you can play until you hit level 10. Most competitive tournaments don't have it at all, as the other game modes are more frantic, competitive, and skill-based. Speaking of which, ranked modes. There are 4 different ranked modes, each with an objective other than painting the most ground. Of course, covering as much turf as possible is still important to be able to move around, control the map, force enemies back, and charge your special, but it isn't what makes you win. Splat zones is a lot like King of the Hill. Teams fight for control of 1 or 2 set areas by painting it with their color. Doing so makes that team's score tick down over time. If the other team takes control from you, your timer will stop and theirs will tick down instead. You'll also receive a penalty score that ticks down before your actual score gets reduced any further. The team with the lowest score after 5 minutes wins, or if a team gets to 0, they win instantly via knockout. However, if the losing team has control when time is up, the game enters overtime, where they can make one last effort to take the lead. Either they take the lead and win, or they lose control and the game ends. The other 3 ranked modes use the same scoring and overtime systems, but with different objectives. Tower control is a lot like payload in other games. You fight to move a tower along a set path by jumping on top. The further along the path it goes, the lower your score gets, and getting to the end is a knockout victory. Along the way, there are a couple of checkpoints where the tower will stop for a while before continuing, forcing you to defend it with your life. If the other team gets you off the tower and jumps on instead, it will continue towards you from wherever it is. It must slowly travel back to the middle before it can advance. In Rainmaker, you fight to grab and control this shiny golden thing, the Rainmaker. After bursting the shield, one player can simply walk into it to pick it up. This player will be slowed down, visible to all players, and cannot use their weapons, but can instead charge and fire powerful exploding blobs from the Rainmaker's mouth. If they're splattered, the Rainmaker will reappear with its shield. They will also automatically die after 60 seconds if they haven't been splattered yet. This timer will tick faster if the carrier retreats too far or enters a Rainmaker free zone. This stops people from camping off to the sides. The goal is to bring the Rainmaker to the podium in the enemy's base. Getting closer reduces your team's score, and dunking it at the end is a knockout victory. Clam Blitz is the toughest to explain, but arguably the most team-oriented mode. Teams must collect clams from across the stage and toss them into a basket in the opposing team's base. Each clam is worth 3 points, but holding 10 clams at once transforms them into a power clam, which is instead worth 20. The basket is covered by a barrier that can only be burst by tossing a power clam at it. Once it's down though, you can throw little clams in. The barrier will only be down for 10 seconds, but the timer can be prolonged by tossing normal clams inside. Once the barrier closes, you'll get a penalty just like in splat zones. The basket will also hide itself and become inaccessible for a while after the barrier closes. and the defending team will be given a free power clam for successfully waiting off the push. We call this a pity clam. Lowest score wins, and hitting 0 is an instant knockout. In all 4 of these ranked modes, getting splats is absolutely essential to even make a dent in your score. The enemy team can't do much to stop you if they're all respawning. Let's take a look at gear abilities. The clothes on your back aren't just for show. Each piece of equipment you wear has abilities that buff some of your stats in battle. Some increase your movement speed, make your weapons more ink efficient, charge your special faster, make you super jump faster, and more. You can wear 1 headpiece, 1 clothing item, and 1 pair of shoes into battle. Each gear piece has a set main ability and up to 3 sub-abilities that are randomly rolled after playing with them in battle. Yeah, this game has RNG for something that makes you better at the game. Main abilities have a stronger effect than sub-abilities, but using multiple of the same ability will stack the effect. Main abilities can also have unique effects that can't be found on sub-abilities. Ninja Squid, for example, completely hides the ripple effect when you swim, making it easier to be sneaky. Competitive players will painstakingly grind and reset their gear to create builds that complement their playstyle. But you can get away with using whatever you like. No pressure, pick whatever looks cool and you'll be fine. In addition to these 3 pieces of gear, you can also customize your player in general. You can pick their skin color, eye color, hairstyle, pants, and even their species. Splatoon 3 lets you freely switch between an Inkling and an Octoling, which is the same thing but an octopus. Customization is one of the best parts of Splatoon, so feel free to express yourself as much as you like. Show your individuality. Finally, let me leave you with some tips that'll give you an edge while you're learning the ropes. Leave motion controls on. Seriously! Unless you physically can't stomach it, play with motion for at least an hour or 2 to learn how to control them. Like I said, it'll be way better for you in the long run. Play the single player first. I haven't mentioned this yet, but in Splatoon 1, 2, and 3, there's a single player that's basically a glorified tutorial. Jumping in for a while and learning the controls in a zero pressure environment will help you hone your aiming and movement skills before facing smarter opponents. And also, the single player is just fun. Can't speak for Splatoon 3 yet, I don't have it in my hands, but it looks really good, so it'll be worth jumping in. Check your HUD and your map often. Knowing who is alive and who has specials ready is essential information. You should seek to advance when they have multiple players down, or get ready to defend if they have lots of specials ready. The smallest amount of information can save you from making rash decisions. Don't stop moving! Staying mobile will make you nearly impossible to hit, especially against newer players who are learning to aim just like you. Being alive is the best thing you can do for your team, so never stop moving, even while shooting. And finally, work with your team. Splatoon is a team game after all. You will almost never be able to make significant objective progress on your own. Move with your team, help them take out enemies, help them defend your territory, paint in front of them, and use your special weapons at the same time as they do. Simply sticking with a teammate and helping them achieve the same goals that you have will put you way ahead of all the other new players who are just playing for themselves. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this guide will help you have an easier time as a newbie, and that tournament matches won't be a blur in front of your eyes anymore.
Are they going to take the lead? People are jumping down. It's 1 point. Oh my god!
Please like and subscribe for more Splatoon content. This is the first video I've made on my favourite series, and since Splatoon 3 is so close, expect a bunch of coverage from day one. This was your local Aussie high-level player. See you later.